What is good, Neo family? It's your boy Ray-J back with another video, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the one and only Neo and why I'm extremely bullish for the somewhat near-term and long-term futures. I'm going to be talking about what on earth the news has been saying that has been affecting the overall market and Neo as well. I'm going to be talking about the latest updates for Neo as well that make me very excited for what's about to come out. There are some great pieces of news that you should be paying attention to, and I'm going to end this video by talking about what Neo put on their Twitter page that's very, very bullish news. Now, before I do get started and talk about Neo, I do have to mention a couple of things. First off, I'm not a financial or taxation expert, so not take this as financial or taxation advice. Everything in this video is solely for entertainment purposes only. And also, if you guys can, please smash that like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, but benefits the entire Neo community as a whole. The last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link in the description. If you guys do sign up for Moomoo, you're going to get up to 5 free stocks, each worth up to $3,500. With all that said and done and out of the way, let's get on with the videos. Looking at Neo, it's down about 5.51% for the day. It went really, really low today. It did have support at $34, but I do want to note that the S&P and the Nasdaq were a little bit in the green, but tech stocks did have a bit of a downturn, especially as Tesla did drop too. And this is not necessarily because of Neo doing something wrong. Now, there were some rumors about this thing getting delisted, but those are, in my eyes, are just phony baloney pieces of news, guys. I mean, I don't really see anything like that happening to Neo, especially considering that this company has been very, very transparent. We had the news about them announcing their American depository shares. I mean, guys, don't fall for news like that. It's just more and more FUD, and that's often going to happen when we see lots of red like this. Now, Neo being in the red, is it entirely Neo's fault? And the answer is no. No, this is not Neo's fault. We have to talk about what's been going on. There's a lot of news about this Omicron variant. People are very, very scared. The US is tightening its travel testing requirements. There were some travel restrictions, more mask mandates, and President Joe Biden, the president of the USA, he did announce that people should be getting their booster shots. So I'm just putting it out there what he said. I'm not going to say whether I agree or not, but I am just putting it out there that this is leading to a lot more concern and ambiguity. People are very concerned and they're confused about what's going on. We thought we were just recovering from this whole phase, and now we're going back to square one. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. There's so much uncertainty in the market, and there is some fear every now and then. The fear indexes are showing that people are less afraid now than they were before. But right now, I do want to note this right here. Now, the European Central Bank is facing calls to be clearer on inflation after the Fed. It drops a transitory word to describe inflation. So the question is, what's really going on with inflation? And Jerome Powell, for those of you who don't know, he did state that inflation is something to be a little bit concerned about. So he is starting to address it, especially for 2022. He did mention that it should be lasting throughout 2022. Now, what does this basically mean, guys? I want you guys to know something very important. Now, when we talk about what has been going on, this is affecting Neo, causing it to drop the way it did. This is affecting the overall market simultaneously. This is not just Neo. So what does this mean for Neo? Now, there are some concerns and there is some fear about whether we're going to see more lockdowns or not. And this is causing people to just sell off like crazy and be very, very scared. So Neo gained support at 34, and right now it closed at $36.20 a share. Now let's bring up some Bolingers to see this in more detail. From the one-day chart, you guys can see that we ran all the way up from 39.67. We started dropping, just bloody red for the entire day. We hit that low point of 34, and we did have a significant close, a little bit towards the mean price, but it wasn't anything too significant. And we were in the red, so it's very unfortunate to see that. However, I'm not necessarily worried, because I still see the potential in this company for the long-term future. And you guys have to think about that too. Remember, Neo has been doing next to everything right. And I want to announce this right over here. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, we heard about this piece of news right here. Neo announced their American depository shares. People were going crazy over that. People were saying that Neo was about to double, especially leading into Neo Day on December 18th. When we have these meetings about inflation and other things going on, I do still think Neo could start running up by December 18th. But I do want to note that there are so many things outside of Neo's controls that are affecting it. So if I bring up the 6-month chart like this, do not let this piece of news scare you. Do not let the fears, the uncertainty, and the doubts really, really scare you. If I bring up the MACD and the RSI, we can see this right over here. Right now, the MACD is showing some red, which means Neo could continue to drop just a little bit. And if it does drop, I wouldn't be too scared because this would be a very good buying opportunity. We're seeing the RSI drop to 37.05, once again showing that Neo is oversold right now. Now, what does this mean? This means that in the short term, this could drop. I'm going to be honest with you. But if it does drop in the long term, I see this thing absolutely going to the moon. That's a very good buying opportunity to enter in with these plays, because I do know that NEO has insane potential, and that is based off its fundamentals and what it has been reporting. So let's look at this right over here. This article from the Motley Fool is asking the question, why is NEO stock trading lower? And they answer it by talking about what's going on. And they do report some things which I think have a lot of truth behind them. They say that NEO is still doing well as a company. They delivered 10,878 vehicles in November alone, absolutely crushing it. They're doing really well, guys. Don't let that scare you. But right now, there's just a lot of uncertainty about what's really going to play out. And it did talk about the fact that there are some concerns involving the variant. We don't really know how that's going to play out. We don't know how that's going to affect the EV sector. And this could affect the EV sector in many ways, but we just don't know the severity just yet. The media is starting to report in the United States. And how could this affect NEO? Well, if there are more lockdowns, if there are more concerns, this is going to cause a very emotional response, a sentimental response from buyers, from institutions. And that, my friends, is what could cause more ambiguity. Now, I do want to note a lot of things. That's the fact that NEO did next to nothing wrong. What did NEO do wrong, guys? They're absolutely crushing it when it comes to deliveries. They're absolutely crushing it in terms of improving their fundamentals. And look at this right over here. It says that NEO taps Shell to build battery swapping stations in Europe, China, and etc. So NEO is already partnering with Shell to have more battery swapping stations. I mean, they're just absolutely crushing it. And another thing is, I don't think regulation in China is necessarily going to be as strict. I do think that they're going to continue to see more deliveries in China, and they're just going to continue to crush it over and over and over again. So I'm just putting it out there, guys. I'm not scared for NEO in terms of how it's going to be producing cars. I know that we're going to see battery swapping in Europe. Their ET7 is coming out. European expansion is most likely going to be announced this coming NEO Day on December 18th. The company is awesome. It's absolutely awesome. It's just that there are things out of its control, like this variant, that are causing these things to happen, exaggerated, as its beta tends to be more in the positive direction. Now, look at this right over here. Look at these deliveries over and over and over again. They absolutely crush it. 10,878 vehicles in November. We should be celebrating. NEO stock should be going up right now. But because of the fear, this abnormality, this nuance in the market, because of what the Fed is doing as inflation is becoming concerning, these are out of NEO's control. Is NEO in control of inflation? Is NEO in control of this virus? They're not in control of that. So it's not NEO's fault. So stop blaming them. Stop being concerned about that. Because for me, the way I see it is they're announcing things like this, the fact that they have power chargers that are providing fast, smart, reliable charging services. We're talking about NEO going on the road to help improve their customers' cars. We're talking about battery swap technology and increases in production, a new factory coming out in the upcoming years. I mean, this company is going to grow, in my opinion, like crazy. And this is not just a curse seeing it drop, it's also a blessing. It's a blessing because we have the opportunity to buy NEO at a cheaper price for when this thing explodes in the future. When big pieces of news come out, it's going to be absolutely awesome. So I'm just putting it out there, guys. The stock market is for the patient. You have to be patient. And I do believe we're going to see upside potential perhaps leading up to NEO Day. I still believe that could still happen if they do have some big announcements. We could see an emotional run for the short term, maybe a drop a little bit, and then leading up to 2022, I just think this thing is going to slowly start stair stepping its way up. We're going to see all-time highs again, in my opinion. And I do think NEO has that insane potential. You just have to give it time. It's going to crush it. With that said and done, guys, thank you for listening. I really wish you guys the best, and I do believe in NEO. It's going to explode one day. Just give it the time it needs, and this thing is going to the moon. Thank you so much for listening. Be patient and never give up, and peace out.